met her in the fall. He took her to a movie, and when they done it all, he took her.
Hello and welcome to the Fabulous Picture Show. I'm Amanda Palmer. For this week's Q&A, we're joined by Steve James, whose documentary The Interrupters follows the brave volunteers who put themselves between Chicago gangs and their guns. Interrupters stop violence as it's about to happen. And they can only do it because of what they've given up.
Drugs, guns, party, fun.
In our Q&A, director Steve James explains how he expects well-off audiences to react to his film.
They'll say, wow, they're not all born violent.
Also on the show,
oh, hey, buddy.
internet phenomenon Freddie Wong shows how to get 5 million hits on your uploaded movies. But first, China is famous for churning out big historical epics with huge battle scenes. And while Wuxia is both historical and epic, it's also a lovingly crafted detective story that cleverly dissects one fight. Historical action film Wuxia follows a papermaker who's celebrated as a hero after beating 2 bandits in a vicious fight. But when the local detective carefully restages the encounter, he unearths a dark and violent past that threatens the papermaker's idyllic life. Wuxia, which means martial arts, is a homage to the genre itself, which has been a vital part of Chinese cinema for nearly a century.
The audience have been so spoiled by different evolutions and interpretations of martial arts film the last 30 years, that from straightforward action and martial arts, we've grown into wire works and special effects, and it actually became science fiction or magical fantasy. The more successful the genre had become, it is not wuxia anymore.
Director Peter Ho Sun-chan decided to go back to the genre's more realistic roots, recruiting martial arts veteran Jimmy Wong Yu to play the hero's warlord dad.
I remember it as my first movie that I saw in the theater. It was the legendary Jimmy Wong Yu in a film called One-Armed Swordsman. Days before we shot the ending, we said, you know what, Wong Yu's here, you're fighting against him. Wouldn't it be cool if you have one arm against the original One-Armed Swordsman, you know?
Hong Kong actor and action choreographer Donnie Yen plays the papermaker desperate to sever ties with his bloodthirsty clan.
I ended up injecting a lot of my favorite themes, whether be it filial duty, via Donnie's obligation to his father, or his father's obsession with a son that would be like him and be as ruthless a killer as he is, which really roots in modern day father-son relationship. There's a certain requirement that they need to be you.
Inspired by a documentary he saw on gunshot wounds, Chan adds a dose of science to show how violence affects the body. The stunts, on the other hand, were done the old school way. For Chan, wuxia cuts to the core of Chinese culture, dealing with some questions he will never get to ask a therapist.
As a member of the modern society, we're always torn, especially Chinese, between traditional values, which is very big on Chinese families, and personal, endeavors and selfishness. And in the process, we always have a lot of unanswered questions about the meaning of life. Because Chinese are not big in psychotherapy and we don't go to psychiatrists. People think you're really crazy when you go to a psychiatrist. So my way out of it is I go make a movie.
When the world was rocked by 2 stories of Austrian children held captive and abused in basements, we couldn't bear to hear the details. But director Markus Schleinzer descended into their world to make his uncomfortable debut, Michael.
Austrian director Markus Schleinzer's debut feature, Michael, is an understated glimpse into the life of an unremarkable man in his 30s who works in insurance, likes a nice, tidy house, enjoys Spam fritters for dinner, and keeps a young boy captive in his basement.
Na komm.
Das Thema des The subject matter of the abused child is something that's been in the media a lot in the last few years, and it shocked me to realize my own fascination with these screaming headlines. It led me to think about how to approach the subject from a different angle.
What's disturbing about the film is not just the abuse of a child, but how unmonstrous Michael seems. And it's this lack of an explanation or moral stance that whipped some critics into a frenzy.
Of course it's difficult because your identification with the normality makes you uncomfortable. That's why mostly these people are labelled as monsters. It builds distance. And that distance lets you say, I'm not like him, but it doesn't really help a society understand or move on with this issue.
Schleinzer worked for 16 years as a casting director on over 60 features, including Michael Haneke's acclaimed The White Ribbon.
Verzeihen Sie, Herr Vater. Bitte verzeihen Sie.
A deeply unsettling tale of malice, cruelty and misguided religious zeal in pre-World War I Germany.
Der Knabe hatte bei irgendjemand gesehen, dass der sich an den feinsten Nerven seines Körpers schadete, wo auch Gottes Gebot heilige Schranken errichtet hat.
Schleinzer and his team interviewed 7,000 children to find the impeccably cast minors who played many key roles.
Nicht wahr, du hast das getan, was jener arme Knabe tat.
Ja.
Also ich hätte mich nicht dran getraut, dieses Thema zu... I wouldn't have dared tackle the subject if I hadn't had that experience of working on the White Ribbon. I was very fearful of this process of finding this child, and it had to be a kid who had a strong enough personality not to be damaged by something like this. I couldn't do a film about an abused child and abuse the child myself.
So, du musst es ganz gerade halten, jetzt so. Und so durchschneiden. Na, jetzt, schau her, du hast es verstellt wieder.
Even though Michael doesn't offer any answers, it does present a fresh angle on an explosive debate we often oversimplify.
Everybody, welcome to the Fabulous Picture Show and this screening. Could we please introduce here, this is Steve James. He's brought us his fabulous film, The Interrupters.
Thank you.
Steve, this is almost the second part of a life journey for you. It's almost 25 years since you did Hoop Dreams. I mean, Hoop Dreams is still considered one of the best non-fiction films ever made. Tell us about The Interrupters. How did you get here?
In the year since we finished Hoop Dreams, William Gates's brother Curtis, who's a very big part of that film, was murdered. And Arthur Agee, the other kid we followed, his father Bo, who was also a big part of the film, was murdered. So seeing the devastating impact that those senseless murders had on those families has certainly haunted me. So I think wanting to do this film had something to do with wanting to go into some of those neighborhoods and deal with that issue.
Hoop Dreams took a vivid and explosive look into the lives of 2 inner-city boys striving for stardom against adversity.
I want to, play in the NBA like anybody else would want to be.
The Interrupters goes back to that same inner city 2 decades on to delve into Ceasefire, an organization in Chicago trying to combat urban violence.
One guy threatened to blow the other guy's wig back. I got him to calm down, tell him he didn't shoot you, he was just talking.
Ceasefire Interrupters intervene directly in street fights to stop them turning fatal.
The story about sticks and stones may break your bones, but words can never hurt you. Words that get you killed.
The film follows 3 interrupters from these neighborhoods who have all grappled with violence. Amina, the daughter of a notorious gangster.
Drugs, guns, party, fun, that was it.
Kobe, a former drug trafficker who spent 12 years in prison.
I used to be in jail, fighting, kicking off rides, and doing all crazy stuff. Just gang banging.
And Eddie, a reformed gang member who spent 14 years in jail for murder.
Half of my life, I was in prison. That's why I do what I do now. To me, it's a personal thing.
The violence in their lives should be treated like an infectious illness, according to Ceasefire's founder.
For the young people in these neighborhoods, they see violence as their disease. What they expect to die of is this.
The film steers away from analysing the broader sociology of America.
The mama don't want you to see her.
And focuses instead on the heart-wrenching drama.
You didn't fight hard enough for you to get up in that school and do what you need to do.
I ain't gotta say nothing.
Capricia, don't nobody have to kiss your ass for you to do what you need to do for you.
Steve James's documentary immerses the viewer in the reality of Chicago street life without ever being disrespectful or intrusive. Some of the most interesting parts of your film is it debunked so many myths about violence. What did you learn about violence in this society that we could all learn from?
There's a tendency to believe that the violence in these neighborhoods is all gang-related. And I think at one time, back when violence was peaking in the early 90s in Chicago and a lot of major cities, you maybe could make a case for that more. But at this point in time, a lot of the bigger gangs, particularly in the African-American community, have dissolved into cliques. The best example I can give is in the movie with LaToya and her 2 sons.
So what the is you saying, B? You ain't no boss of me, boy. Come on now, your crowd or who you be around, that don't make you no my man, nigga.
If one of those guys had tragically succeeded in killing the other one, it probably would have been in the paper that this was a clique, gang-related killing, and isn't this terrible that these 2 brothers are in different cliques and one of them killed the other? When, as you find out, I think, as you watch the film, what's going on there is a personal family situation.
I love my brother to death. He just don't understand, and it's not really a problem with him. It's really a problem with, my mother and my grandmother. I just feel like they really do take sides, man.
When they talk about a pedophile or a serial killer, everybody goes back and looks at their social history, their profile, what happened to them when they were kids. When the gangs are killed, everybody says, scum.
It's like when you read in the paper that someone killed someone over a pair of tennis shoes. What you don't often read is, like what you're talking about, is what brought someone to that place in their life where that's what triggered it.
I didn't eat this morning. I'm wearing my niece's clothes. I just was violated by my mom's boyfriend. I go to school, and here comes someone that bumps into me and don't say excuse me. You hit 0 to rage within 30 seconds and you act out.
I was just wondering how the interrupters make the call between actually trying to invest the time to really make a difference in a few people's lives versus trying to touch as many people as possible.
Their main job is to mediate conflicts in the streets, to just try to save a life, basically, today. But I think in certain situations where they feel a real connection, then they do more. Early in the film, the knife and the rock-throwing mediation that Amina jumps into the middle of, when she takes the guy that got hit by the rock D away in her car to get him off location, she does this brilliant thing where she says to, I know you just got back, meaning from prison, and you don't want to go back. And he's like, no, I don't. He goes, and she says, you're going to look out for your family by not retaliating. You're looking out for your family. And she goes,
man, I thank you. I mean, for real. For real. That's what gangster is about right there.
And I love that because she totally takes this concept of gangster and turns it on its heel and has that guy going, yeah.
I ain't find no bitch ass yesterday, put
That pussy ass.
What's up?
Oh, damn, I need my phone. I'm walking around my pistol. Can you grab my phone, brother? I can't, you know.
Could you talk a little more about how you achieve this kind of invisibility with the people so that you really never felt the camera was there?
The key to it is that the people that you're dealing with, they have to get what it is you're doing and really understand what you're doing, and they have to believe in what you're doing. I don't adopt that kind of fly-on-the-wall mentality of I'm not going to interact at all with subjects, because I think more than anything, the process needs to be demystified a bit for people so that they feel a level of comfort.
No problem. The solution. How can you help me? Right now. How can you help me?
I've worked as an outreach worker in the past, and I often felt like after a day's work, like, is this really going to make a long-term difference? Because trying to wake these kids up, you know, and tell them you don't need to be getting into fights, you don't need to be selling drugs. But then they said, well, how else am I going to make money? But with this kind of film, they can see maybe that there is a way out. Is that the plan?
In this case, my target audience are all the people who live in neighborhoods like this and all the people who don't. And the people who live in the suburbs or whatever, who don't have any experience in these communities, they will look at this film and they'll say, I had no idea what people were going through. And, wow, they're not all born violent. Or, you know, I can't believe that kid went back in that barber shop and apologized like that. And that woman forgave him.
I'm deeply sorry. I know I made a mistake. I was 15. And I was following the crowd, but I know I made a complete 360.
I'm okay. I'm a better person now. And I hope that, you know, you be a better man. That's all I'm saying.
Is there anybody here who's presently living in a troubled neighborhood?
In Oval, but I'm near to Stockwell, Brixton, and it's like the last shooting was about a month and a half ago. Yeah, I just find it really sad, especially when they're so young. And it's scary. You think sometimes when you see something happening like kids fighting or adult fighting, you want to do something, but you want to walk away because you're thinking, I want to live.
This is the first time one of our violence interrupters ever got shot. So he got shot in the ankle and in the back, right?
Yeah. They opened my whole stomach open.
I went in thinking that everyone in these communities is numb to the violence, that they've completely given up probably, and nothing could have been further from the truth. You know, they may not be surprised to lose a loved one, unfortunately, and most everyone that we encountered had lost loved ones or close friends to the violence, but they were still completely devastated when it happened. They had not lost that desire and hope to have a better life.
Now this one right here, I kind of really like this one. And when I was in prison, painting was my form of dealing with my issues and my problems and really discovering myself.
You know, Eddie's a guy that's thinking, like, as an interrupter, how can I have an impact that's not just about mediating a violent conflict in the streets? And so he uses art to get in, and then he uses art to reach these younger kids, and it is affecting and sort of devastating to see that even at such a young age, the traumatic impact of violence in their neighborhoods that they're feeling.
There was this one time when our neighbors got into a fight, and I don't know what else happened, but somebody started shooting. And
never in the world's history has so many people from different ethnic groups, different religions, live so closely together. Do you think this film touches on that as well? What do you think of the future of, like, multicultural societies in general?
I'm more of an optimist when it comes to the future in terms of ethnic and racial relationships, if we can solve some of the economic situations. Because I think in America, what often happens, you don't have it as much of a problem here as we do in America. We see race when we should be seeing class. I think the more interaction we have with one another, genuine interaction, then only good can come of that.
I was introduced to Islam through my father. It was always something inside of me that was constantly saying that I have to do better.
She knew what she wanted. That's what led her here. And so we believe that, you know, it was a heavenly marriage.
I have to say, I haven't seen such a beautiful representation of Islam on the roller skating rink in all my life. Huh?
Where's my husband?
Sheikh Rashid.
Sheikh Rashid.
What an amazing dude. We have to thank obviously the characters of your film. Amina. Kobe. And Eddie. And I think we also have to thank Steve James. Thank you so much for filming your fantastic film.
Great to be here.
Who does this baby belong to? This little, he just hanging around y'all, right? So he see everything that you all do, right? So if this brother right here catch a case and do 100 years, whose fault is it? Teach him righteous. Y'all got it? Yeah. You got it? Yeah.
Oh, hey, buddy.
Freddie Wong is an E-nominan. With a catalogue of YouTube short films and over 335 million video views.
3, 2, 1, go.
He's a director and e-businessman using the ever-changing world of online filmmaking to become an A-list celebrity.
Got it. I won.
Freddie started his career in straight-to-DVD movies, but soon found that his unique brand of storytelling could garner more viewers and advertising revenue online.
It's a touching story of how a cat wins a Congressional Medal of Honor. Probably one of the weirder ones.
Specializing in subversive action sequences, heavily influenced by a lifetime of video games, Freddie Wong and his cohort of special effects wizards are getting attention from across the industry.
Where's Freddie?
Now he has Hollywood stars lining up to act in his mini masterpieces.
Boss, I roll with the Wong gang now.
But Freddie's heart remains online.
And we got a lot of really cool projects that we're working on that we're really excited to announce this year. But rest assured, none of them involve stopping what we're doing right now, which is making videos for you guys online. As long as you guys keep watching them, we'll keep making them for you. Guys, going out!
And now, for your entertainment, a full-length Wong in all its glory.
Hey, Freddie, pick up some eggs.
That's it for this fabulous picture show, and it was fabulous because I thought we were going to show everybody a film that was going to depress them, and in fact it was incredibly, I said it before, it was really inspiring. I felt like we dealt with a global issue and how to solve that. Am I too optimistic?
No, I don't think so. I mean, when we went in to do this film, I think we worried that that's what it was going to be, this sort of tragic tale of, you know, what's going on in the inner cities. And certainly there's plenty of tragedy going on, but what we came out with was completely inspired by the work that these interrupters are doing.
We had extremely long Q&A. It was fantastic. Hope you enjoyed the show, and you're going to come back with the next film.
Is that your way of saying I talk too much?
I need everybody from the ages of 13 to 24 to stand up now. We got a responsibility to bring up our community to be vibrant. Whatever it is that's going on, cease the fire, call a truce.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate this film and why?
9.5, definitely.
7 out of 10.
Is it an 8 or a 9?
8, because it moved a bit slowly for me, but it was really wonderful.
I like the flow of it because it sort of told a story without without being depressing.
I thought those people were amazing. They deserve medals, the interrupters.
A small number of people with great intentions can actually make a difference in the face of almost overwhelming odds, I would say.